you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code WrestlingFuture for a generous 20% discount. That's enter WrestlingFuture for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. Three. Hello, everybody. Welcome to an epic, and I say that a lot, but tonight, honestly, it really is an epic episode. This is our 1 year anniversary. Happy anniversary to us. Dan, the man, the happy haberdasher. You didn't think we'd make it, but here we are, brother. A year down, and we're still here. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. You know, when I took over, it
Dan,
meant a
can
lot
you
to
do
you
me a
guys.
favor before we start?
Yes, sir.
Can you try to contain your exuberance? Because your enthusiasm is just underwhelming here. It's killing me, brother.
Well,
Let's try that
see,
again.
I'll
How
see
you
what I
doing,
can do.
Dan?
I'll see what I can do.
Oh, man. So it's 1 year exactly to the day that Wrestling with the Future was born. We gave birth. We had growing pains, and as happens in life, we had gains and we had losses, and we will talk about all the above. And even our loss, believe it or not, was a gain, and we will talk about that tonight.
I don't want to know how you gave birth. No.
How graphic do you want me to get, Grimmy?
Kayfabe.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is Grimlina, and if you don't know her, well, by God, everybody knows Grimmy by now. She was the original Glow Girl, one of the season 3 and 4, right, Grimmy?
Yep, 3 and 4.
Season 3 and 4 of Glow, along with her cohorts, Hollywood and the late farmer's daughter. We're going to talk about some of your losses too, Grimmy. Because you've had some in the Glow Girls have had some losses.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that during the show tonight. But we are going to celebrate with some of the people who made this show possible, and I have 3 of them with me tonight. Of course, my friend, my cohort in crime, Michael Armageddon Murphy, one of the finest independent wrestlers I know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angelo. It's a pleasure to be here. Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary.
Thank you, brother. I'll tell you what, it was touch and go. We didn't know if we were going to make it a year.
This is true.
Especially, especially after February. It was rough after February, but we are here and stronger and better than ever. And I think in large part we have a big grinning angel watching over us named Jeff the Ref Robinson, who I believe, I said it at the time and I believe it today, would always be a part of Wrestling with the Future. He would always be a part of this show because this was his show. And guess what? It still is. Dan the Man, tell me of your knowledge of the big lovable lug we call Jeff the Ref. The man who I affectionately, Grimmy, called the Encyclopedia Britannica of pro wrestling. Tell me about how you come to know Jeff.
Well, you were not wrong on that one. Jeff was, without question, the encyclopedia of wrestling. That's actually where it came from. I met Jeff through the local indie promotion here in Virginia, and just through casual conversation. And I mean, it actually started with a passing comment about some product that was happening, and Jeff and I began to discuss and debate the current WWE product. He was more of a defender than I was, and that led to some of the indie talent and people coming in And every time you saw him, I loved talking to him, and just the knowledge he had, especially the past and the history, and that.
Passion. Let me tell you about passion. Let me tell you about passion. Grimmy knows this. He got passionate already. He would defend the point, right or wrong. If he was wrong, you'd never know it because he would fight you on it. He would defend the point, and he actually, and it happened, I couldn't believe it. I laughed so hard. He actually got so angry at me one night. He stormed off the show.
Really?
Oh.
Honest to God, he stormed off the show. As fate would have it, my guest that night was Dave Dahl. We had a bad thunderstorm that night, and go figure, Microsoft crashed. So we lost the show.
Oh, no.
Of Jeff walking off.
That won't a thunderstorm. That was Jeff.
Exactly. Yeah, right? Yeah. It was a really interesting night because we were defending. I called him. I made the mistake, Dan. I made the mistake, Grimmy, of calling him a WWE loyalist. Oh, I never heard the end of it. And then he embraced that moniker.
Right.
And then became not only a loyalist, but then an apologist. So I tell you, a lot of you guys don't know how I met Jeff. I'm going to tell you how I met Jeff the Ref. I was doing a show. I was a guest on Kenny Boland's Bowling Alley.
Okay.
Kenny invited me on the show hold on, my microphone. Invited me onto his show to talk about the work that I do. And little bit that I know, unbeknownst to anyone, one of the people watching that show that evening was a guy from Suffolk, Virginia, named Jeff Robinson, affectionately known as Jeff the Ref. Well, he reached out to me and said, we'd love to talk to you and find out more about what I do. Because apparently Jeff was really like, I want to say like a searcher. He's inquisitive. He wanted to know stuff. Mm-hmm. He wanted to know. He was the kind of guy that liked to take things apart to see how they work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted to do that with my gift as well. He wanted to see, pull back the curtain to see who is that man behind the curtain.
Right.
So that's how Jeff and I met. And we started to talk about wrestling, and he realized that he finally met somebody that knew more about wrestling than he did. And that took some doing. And I only knew because I'm older. Go ahead, Grimmy.
That was until he met me.
Oh, please.
Uh-oh.
And, but I'll let you think. So Jeff and I started talking, and he said, we should do a podcast. And I said, all right, we'll talk about it at some other point. And then I kept him on the clothesline out to dry for about 6 months. And I'm not even kidding. It was like 6 months before I said, okay, so let's talk about this podcast idea you had way back when. So we talked about it, and I said, you know what? Let's just do this. What the hell? Let's just do it. They say timing is everything in life, in comedy, in success. Timing is everything. It happened to be on this very date 1 year ago tonight that a new promotion was just about to make waves called AEW. The next night was Wednesday. That was September 30th. Well, the following Wednesday, which is October, I think the 5th, is exactly a year ago to the day that AEW began. And so what we did was our first show, and I looked at it today, was called The Changing Climate of Wrestling. We had the new and improved WWE, NXT, AEW. Hold your commentary, Grimmy. AEW, Ring of Honor. Help me, Dan. What else? New Japan. Mikey, what else was going on then?
Oh, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was enough. And so we, our first show was discussing the changing face of wrestling, and then the next show we did was let's introduce ourselves. Let us introduce ourselves to these people, and it went swimmingly well, all because of timing. Timing is everything, and so here we are 1 year later, and the big guy is still looking out for us. He's still guiding our hand. Thank you, and thank you, Jeff the Ref, and thank you, Brenda Robinson, wonderful lady that you are, his mom. I owe her a phone call, and through Jeff, I met the wonderful people like Grimmy and Dan the Man, and of course, all the great folks there at his friend Trey and Jay at Vanguard Championship Wrestling, and all the guys and gals that work there, in Travis Bradshaw and all those wonderful people. And here we are, fast forward a year later. A lot has happened during that time.
It's been a year.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, Grimmy, a lot has happened. So, and one of the first guests that we had on the show, believe it or not, was a gentleman named Michael Armageddon Murphy. And he was followed by he followed our actual first guest that Dan is going to get on the phone right now. And his name is Jack Victory. He was our...
Oops.
I'm going to have to beep that out.
I tried. Skype wasn't letting me disconnect.
That's okay. I'll do that and edit. We'll
fix it in post. Right?
Let me call him here. Hold on. I can do this now. Let's see. Jack. Where's Jack's number? I got Jack.
Timing being everything, Jeff's sister was posting a bunch of stuff on Facebook today. She was clearing out some stuff and had a bunch of his collectibles that she kept finding, boxes full of magazines and autographed pictures and everything.
Yeah,
it's a nice trip down memory lane. Some of those pictures.
And he's up there. He sparked a cigarette, has his soda, and is laughing his butt off at us.
Yeah, I'm telling you what.
Yeah.
So let us see here. We're going to get, let's see here. Let's call this number. Oh, I got noises. Oh, look at that. I'm so happy I have noises here.
Yeah, I would say at least half the conversations, Grimmy, I ever had with Jeff.
Same as the first.
I guess Jack's not. He said he would be there.
Yeah, Jeff has had a lot of conversations out back of the temple with a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And at every location.
We had fun one night. I don't know. I guess it was. I want to say it was October because I'm pretty sure it was the Halloween show, and there was a guy outside the temple spewing a bunch of wrestling is the devil.
Oh, is that the guy who was doing this is Satan's work and all that?
Yeah, I heard that story.
I heard about that.
Yeah, we had a good old time hanging outside heckling that guy.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Is that Jack?
What's happening?
There's my man. I thought, oh my God, Jack better answer.
You gave me the wrong. I mean, I have to punch in the number of my phone or it will not ring.
Oh wow, that's
So
crazy.
you gave me a different number.
Yeah, well, we're actually I gave you the studio number.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh, studio.
So Jack
so
Victory,
we're okay.
just
We're
talking
okay.
about you, brother. Just talking about you. This is our anniversary show, our 1 year anniversary. Jack, we were just talking about our late friend Jeff the Ref, and the shows that we early shows that we did, and you were, uh, as a matter of fact, for the record, our very first guest. In fact, the first guest we had that did a two-parter was Jack Victory. In fact, he was our very first guest. And so I thought it fitting. You can't have an anniversary show and not have Jack Victory. So Jack, thank you for launching this journey for us, and it's been a wild journey here, brother. I didn't think we would make it, but we did, and it's balls to the walls, literally now, for us.
Yes,
So
sir.
how you doing, my friend?
Well, that's great to hear. Normally everything I touch to turns to shit, and I'm glad you're still on the air.
Oh my God, are you kidding? You were like the Midas touch for us, brother. Hey, you know what it was, and I think I pinpointed it. Jeff and I actually talked about this too. I think what endeared you and us to people is the fact that we just talked and we just told stories, and that's what people really like in the end. They don't like. I mean, there's some people that want to hear about match results or what happened in the locker room, and does this person have heat with this? Who gives a shit? I want to hear the stories. I want to hear tales from the road like only Jack Victory can tell. Because you've been
Oh God.
everywhere, brother.
Yeah,
And
I've had some good times, man. I had some good times running up and down the roads, that's for sure.
I met Jack Victory when he was a mere 18-year-old young man, working in high school gyms and skating rinks and wherever they could book him. He'd find a job somewhere, right, Jack?
Yeah. It wouldn't be very big payoffs, that's for sure. But if there's any guys listening that are just breaking into business, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you're running up and down these roads for experience. You're not really looking for the big payouts. You're looking for that experience. It's
Absolutely.
and nowadays it's just very hard to find. A lot of things have happened since we've talked. With this COVID-19 bullshit. All the independent circuits, everything's dried up. It was going really, really well there for a long time, man.
Oh, wow.
Independent shows were blowing the doors off of places.
Yeah, Jack, I'll tell you what, I got one of your brothers with me here, Mike Armageddon Murphy. Mikey, let me introduce you to Jack. I don't know if you and Jack ever met, Mike, but this is Jack Victor. Jack, this is our friend Armageddon. He works under Armageddon, Mike Murphy.
Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy.
Good, brother. I think you and I have worked, maybe not each other, but I think we've worked on the same card before.
If I was on the card, it had to be horrible.
No, only after me.
Whereabouts was it? Do you remember? Do you know
I do.
Probably somewhere in PA.
It was for Dino Santa, Jack.
Probably that sounds familiar. I did a lot of stuff with DC Drake and Eddie Miranda and all that up in Eastern Pennsylvania. I ran that circuit up in that area. So
you got it, bro. That's right there.
Card.
Ted Petty
absolutely.
was there.
And
we had a lot of good talent out of there.
Oh my God!
Sure. That's actually what launched me. The tapes that I filmed of myself wrestling in that organization actually was the tapes that Bill Watts and Bill Dundee actually looked at to give me the offer to go to Mid South. So yeah, that was fun times.
Jack, I want to touch on something that you had said. A lot of the younger guys now, and I'm old enough now where I can call them the younger guys.
There you go.
But a lot of the younger guys now, you're right. They're missing out. I think they're missing out on a lot. Because when we were doing it, we were the weekend warriors. It's like, we'd drive, do a show, drive, do another show, and basically spend our whole weekend going from show to show. And a lot of these guys are missing out on that. And that's the kind of experience that you need in this business. Or, as Angela would say, this thing of ours.
Well, you know what? It's funny, Jack, because we just had, you'll get a real kick out of this, Jack, because we just had a mafia historian on. And I was surprised at how many similarities there were between the mafia and wrestling. And Dan, the man, can elaborate upon that. Talk to Jack for a little bit, Dan.
Hey, Jack. It's funny what Angelo is touching on is this narration of the kind of cutthroat underbelly. And you guys will know, I mean, Gremlin and Armageddon, you guys all know the promotion and the backstage politics and the kind of, for lack of a better term, some of the bullshit that kind of is required to survive in the business. It's the exact
right, Remy.
It's the exact same way with organized crime, is the way he explained it, moving up the hierarchy. And for lack of a better term, in order to get a seat at the table, you have to get yourself over and you have to get people to notice you, which means you got to maybe push the envelope a little. And the way he was describing it, you could replace mobster with indie guy, and it's the exact same story.
Because
you can actually take it all the way into the WWE and all that too, because that same scenario works all the way through those rankings too.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Grammy. What were you going to say?
And in the end, it's always an offer you can't refuse.
Hey, how about that one, Jack? How about the offer you can't refuse, Jack?
Right.
No, exactly. You really can't refuse it. You got to go out there and do your job. So yeah, that's the exact way the wrestling business is.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Jack. Will there be a wrestling business? Is there a future for this business? Or are we too muddled up right now to see the forest through the trees?
I honestly think once the vaccination hits, and once the people are getting more comfortable, I honestly think the first 6 months of wrestling is gonna be amazing. I really do. If there's anybody that has money left to run shows,
right?
You know what I mean?
I
know Vince. I know I don't have pockets like Vince, and I don't have pockets like the Cons and stuff like that. So they're running strong, but who else can survive this shit and come out? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
Can I let me ask you guys something? You mentioned how the pandemics hurt things. One of the things that's been crippled by the pandemic, and a lot of it is the quality of product that's been being put out recently, is television ratings for wrestling are at an all-time low. Historically, I mean, Raw, even AEW is winning ratings wars with 700,000. Do you think the fact over the last 6 months, 7 months, overall interest in wrestling is kind of plummeted? Do you think some of those fans will come back for the indie shows, or do you think the indie shows, when they do start running again, are going to suffer because fans have just said, "I'm done with wrestling"? Period.
I don't think they're done with wrestling. Period. Are they done with watching it it's really bad shit they're putting out right now.
Oh, it really is,
re-
Jack. It's horrible.
it's really stinkola with without the fans. Wrestling is 90% fan reaction, and you're putting
Yeah.
stuff out there, and it's not fun to watch. It really isn't. I mean, I honestly think people are going through a depressing mode right now. I know I'm depressed. I know, and I'm out every day. I haven't missed a beat working wise. So I'm not home. I'm not home like all these other people. I think
Mhm.
most of these people are suicidal. But to get into the shows,
He's
to
not-
watch
not
in these
lying.
programs, they're lucky they're getting 700,000. To be honest with you.
Yeah, and you know what? Jack, you ain't lying. Grimmy, go ahead. You and Jack talk about that.
I was going to say, if you're not suicidal, you're homicidal. Because
That's right. By the way, Jack, this is Grimlina. She was one of the original Glow girls.
Is she really? I was trying to
season
watch
3
it
and
on.
4.
I was trying to watch it on Netflix, the new Glow movie and stuff like that. But it's just god awful. It's just
Grimmy, do you
god
have any
awful.
opinions on the Glow?
Oh, it's god awful.
Oh, please.
And trust me, I'm not gonna be nice. I mean, don't hold this against me, but you guys were god awful too.
Well, and Angelo and I have had this discussion.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I started
Did you
watching
hang up?
wrestling.
Oh.
No, I started watching wrestling in 1970. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I watched Nelson Royal, Johnny Weaver, all the way up through Wahoo McDaniels, Jack and Jerry Briscoe. The real people, as I call them.
Yeah.
Right.
At the Richmond Arena, then when they went to the Coliseum. I worked with a photographer for PW. I dated and worked on the sidelines with a photographer for PWI. I'm sorry, and the only thing I will say about Glow is I had it easy. And Angelo, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I didn't have to be an athlete. I
Right.
didn't have to be a Ric Flair technician. I was
Right.
there for one reason, to stir shit and cause trouble at ringside.
Yeah, your manager. That's what Jack. Part of Jack's career also. That was his,
and
you know,
now I do get
stir the
upset.
shit. Absolutely.
I do get a little upset because, yes, as far as legitimate go on the road and travel and tour and dirty arenas, no, Glow was not wrestling as I grew up and knew it. Were we wrestling? Well, we were trained by Mondo Guerrero. I'm going to leave it at that. The Glow girls were trained initially by Mondo Guerrero.
Sure.
One of the Glow girls who took over the training was Debbie Pelletier, the Killer Tomato. We had
Right.
Queen Kong. She wrestled. Then we had Ivory, Tina Ferrari, who went on to be a WWE Hall of Famer.
Sure.
I'm not saying that we were wrestlers. And even Matt Simber, our director, will say we weren't wrestlers. He wanted to smash Mad Magazine, Hee Haw, and wrestling into a show. Succeeded.
Yeah.
But I will think we did bring attention that, hey, women don't always have to be let's just put them in as a filler match anymore.
Jack, let me ask you a question along that line where Grimmy's going with this. How did the so-called legit wrestling look at Glow? How did they look at that as a joke or as like a filler or fluff?
You want the honest?
Yeah, please.
We looked at it as a joke.
And Grimmy and I have had this conversation, and I had this conversation, Jack, on an entire show with women. Grimmy, you remember that ladies' night?
Yes, and I like I said, I
And
have
you
nothing
guys
but
beat the shit out of me that night.
and I've
No,
also
no,
told you,
we were, you know,
women are
if we didn't
crazy.
kayfabe when we were going up, we would actually be fired. So you know, we took our business seriously, and we just looked at Glow as trying to, you know, I mean, they wrestled. Don't get me wrong, but it was just so bad.
Yeah.
90% of the time that it was exposing the business, and
Jack,
that's
you
why.
just said something. Oh my
But
God. You just said something so important, Jack, because Davey O'Hannon, who was a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of the show, Dan vouched for me on this one. Every
Yes, sir.
time he comes on the show, Jack, he says the people believed because we believed. We believed
Right.
that what we were doing was real. And God help you if anybody said, "Oh, you're one of those fake wrestlers." They would show you just how fake they were.
can
Well,
I say something
that's how many bar fights I got into.
in
Well,
It was
exactly.
because they.
That
in defense?
go ahead, Green.
I'm one of those fans that would punch a person for calling wrestling fake. Okay,
Yeah.
and as far as kayfabe, behind the scenes and in public, you would never ever see a good girl and a face and a heel
Oh
together.
God, no, never.
We would be fined or fired. You
Hmm.
Absolutely.
never fraternized with the other locker room. We a
And
lot of
it
us
went from the
and a lot of us
ground
didn't even know
up.
our
Hold
real
on, Green.
names.
Grammy, I got it. I have to get this out here.
Okay.
So bear with me, please. Um, Mike Murphy, you worked for me a number of times.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and the kayfabe works. Oh, we got a call coming in. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Who's calling in? Who's calling in tonight? Happy anniversary to us.
Ha ha! Ravis and Randy Hogan, brother. How are you today?
Hey,
Happy
baby.
anniversary. I tell you,
Randy Hogan.
hanging and
How you
banging
doing?
still. Here you are after 1 year, and I just had to call and say happy anniversary to you guys. And you know what? 9 years from today, I'm going to be saying the same thing to you again,
Oh,
except it'll
God
be
bless
10
you, brother.
years.
Randy
You
Hogan
are.
is the world's foremost Hulk Hogan look-alike. He is also a hell of a wrestler. And
Now let's get this straight. Well, get this straight. I am 2 years older, which means he is a Randy Hogan lookalike.
there
Let's
you
not
go.
confuse these things.
Okay, I
All
won't
right.
hold that against you.
Randy, you're on the show tonight with Armageddon, with Grileno,
Armageddon.
with Jack Victory, with Dan the Man, and yours truly, Angelo.
Wow. What esteemed people I am with. Jack Victory. Wow, there's a name out of the past. When he was with the sheep herders, I think he hit me a few times.
Maybe.
I think so.
Jack, you remember
Oh, what a
remember ever working with Randy Hogan?
Probably not. I was
don't-
just another one of them enhancement guys, you know, WCW and NWA and that. But I remember him.
And
Yep,
he
how you
always
doing,
Say yeah,
wrestled
Jack.
with
Make my
Randy
day.
Hogan.
Say yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, brother, thank
Wow,
you
this
for calling in. I appreciate it. I'm going to have you back, and you're going to have your own. There's Randy Hogan. There he is. Absolutely. Yep. And Randy, when you see the episode back, check yourself out. Dan found a great photo of you. So, Randy,
Oh,
thank you
great.
for calling in. I really appreciate it, brother. And you will be on your own episode coming up very, very shortly for part 2 of your career interview.
I look so forward to it. And again, you are number one, have been in my book, always will be in my book. And any kind of little part I can play, in your show, I would be more than happy to. I'd be thrilled. I'd be honored. And who knows, this year, maybe we'll get the Icons up in Pennsylvania together. You never
Yeah.
know, brother.
Oh man, bro, I had to cancel 4 shows. That's crazy.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
tell
me
you
too.
what.
I had to cancel
Icon show
7.
together. Let me tell you something, Hogan. You can't keep ducking me. You can't keep
Come on,
ducking
brother.
me.
I'm hanging and banging. I'm as pretty
You
as I
know-
ever been, too. Let me tell you. Don't make me wrap these 24 pythons.
You want to come out of retirement?
Out
Are
there.
you kidding me?
I will do that. Now, you know,
Oh, my
just
God.
about 2 weeks ago, I just had my ankle replaced. So I'm going to be down until about the first of the year. Okay.
And we all
But after
know I
that,
love
brother,
to take out
I'm not only going to drop the leg on Armageddon. I'm going to go off the top rope and I'm going to drop the mega leg on him.
Hot
Well, let me
damn.
tell you something. Let me tell you something, brother. You heard of the
Tell
brawl
me, brother.
for it all? This will be the brawl,
brawl
for
for
the
it all.
Jericho.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Look at that.
Do we have to walk to the ring or will they push us?
A nice interview.
No.
turned into a match
Hey.
setup.
Hey, I got
Anyway.
my walker all set.
Oh, shit.
I'm with you. Angelo, thank you. The
You
best
are
to you, my
quite
dear
welcome,
friend.
Randy. Thank you, brother. You're the
Randy,
best.
take care. God bless you.
Take care, my friend.
You too, brother.
Good night. Jack, is that how shit gets started, bro?
Yep.
What's that?
Is that how shit gets started?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Dan,
Oh,
rescue
Yeah,
me from
one
this.
of the boys wraps his mouth and it pisses off of the other another guy and yeah, that's how it mostly starts.
Love it. I love it.
Hey, Angelo.
You know, you guys, but Angelo, you've been on the booking side of things, and you all have walked through wrestling on more than one occasion. Tell me,
Yes,
how much
bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
a Mike Murphy versus Randy Hogan loser retires again match. How much money does that draw at your local indie scene in 2021?
About $1.75.
$5.95.
$3.50.
Hey, Angelo, like I said, Hogan had the brawl for it all. Randy and I can have the brawl for the Geritol.
There you go. And Mike Murphy's offering 20 cents more than I just did.
But if we can circle back before Randy called, Grimmy, you were about to say something. You remember where you were going with that?
What I was going to say is, I understand, and like I said, I don't take offense to it, but I take offense to when people say, we didn't work hard. We put in 9 in the morning till 10, 11 at night days in every aspect of the business when we did Glow. We took it serious. We did take it seriously.
Well, and I'm sure you did, Grimmy. Let me just defend you for a second, because very few people do. No one ever said that you guys didn't work hard. No one ever said you didn't put hours in. I think what people have said consistently, though, is that it doesn't look like wrestling, and it looks like more like a comedy show than a wrestling show. Jack, am I right about
management? That? It was more, it was more the management. It was more of the management. We never looked down upon the actual talent that was working. But when you're told to do something that's stupid because of the ownership, I understand why you have to do it, because you want a job and you want to keep your job. I understand that part. If there was better booking and there was better storylines back then with hot chicks, it would have been so much better than them portraying you girls as a bunch of stupid asses. You know what I mean?
I'll give you that. You know, and I've had the conversation with the honky tonk man Wayne Ferris, with Ted DiBiase, with Mick Foley, with the sheep herders, and what really humbles me was, and being honored at Cauliflower Alley was a big thing for us girls, but to have people that I respected, the Ricky Steamboats, the Sergeant Slaughters, the list goes on,
Sure.
shake my hand and say congratulations. That to
Well, and
me,
I think we need to put things into context, okay? And I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I know a little bit about the Cauliflower Alley induction. And it was basically because that what you guys were doing was different and unique for the time.
yes,
And Cauliflower Alley wanted to honor you for being groundbreaking at the time.
it was
Now,
80s.
were there
What can I say?
people before you? Hold on a second. Were there people before you that broke ground? Sure.
Oh
Mae
hell yeah,
Young, Fabulous
and
Moolah,
Casey.
Mildred Burke, June Byer. Yeah, there were, scores of women. I
Oh, and I
think what
respect those women.
you got to
If
let me
they had
speak,
more,
Grimmy.
oh,
Here's the thing. Here, and this is really important. That I think what you guys did that was different was the first time that we actually saw pretty women wrestling. That was different. No one could ever accuse the Fabulous Moolah of being beautiful. Okay.
Well,
I mean,
let-
we just have to be honest about it,
Nope,
if,
he was,
Mae
she was
Young was
take
not
you
a
out in the
beauty.
alley and beat the crap out of you.
Exactly.
but there were some ladies from the golden ages, the Moolah's era, the Ann Casey. There were
Oh,
some
yeah.
beautiful women that
Mhm.
did wrestle. I'm not gonna lie, you know, but that's the whole thing. I think the whole thing is we hit at a time it was the 80s. We hit when it was right, which is
Exactly. Well, like I said at the beginning of the show, Grimmy, timing is everything.
and that's why we beat the WWE in ratings. That's
Yeah.
why we had such, and still to this day, an avid fan base.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful. Like you and I've had the discussions. I did not set out to become a wrestler. I love the sport. I would have been happy taking photographs at ringside, meeting and having drinks with the boys, hearing stories. That was
Right.
what I loved. Because I'm a loud mouth and I don't keep my mouth shut when I should, really. I did something that a lot of people wouldn't think that would get you hired. I saluted with one finger. The director of Glow told him F you
There you go.
in my hot rod t-shirt and my blue jeans and a ponytail, no makeup, went F you, I'm out. And he went, whoa, 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 I want you. I looked at
Right.
him, I told him he was a friggin' insane person.
Yeah.
4
Is my
105
is my
pounds,
guest with me?
you know? But it's like he said later on, and he put me through hell, as
Yeah.
most directors will do and stuff. He said, Grimmy, you were only 4'9", but you were 7 foot on that TV screen. He
Hold
said,
on, Grimmy.
you knew how to push buttons.
Hold on, Grimmy.
you got somebody calling
Bill, are
in?
you with me? Are you with me, Bill?
I'm with you.
Yeah, hold on there, Jack. I
Oh.
thought we had Bill Dundee with us. We just dropped him.
Oh,
What? You can't do that to a legend.
Well, that's not my intent. All right. Why are you not here? Hold on there. Well, I guess Bill's not here.
He can and does, Grimmy. Half the shows Angelo cutting off legends.
Who me?
You guys suck.
Well, if I can kind of circle back to the original topic at hand, when we were talking about Jeff, one of the first conversations we ever had, Angelo, you mentioned his view on the WWE and all that was the character and the talent, and you guys kind of touched on it. Where do you draw the line between the promotion's fault and the talent's fault? Because what I mean is commentary today. Grimmy, you mentioned the Honky Tonk Man, Jim Cornette, Vince Russo. There's a lot of talkers today that put a lot of the blame on the product, on the talent. If I was a wrestler, I wouldn't do that, or I would have done it a certain way. Where do you draw the line between a bad segment or a bad character that's the fault of the talent versus the fault of the production staff?
Bottom line is, who signs your paycheck? Bottom line, who signs the paychecks? Do you really honestly think that even if I had got into wrestling, I would want to come out wearing snake skin with hair two-toned and be a shrieking little shrew? No. I had my vision of a Miss Elizabeth, a woman.
Hello.
Oh, there he
Hey,
is.
Bill.
Class.
Hey, brother.
How are you, my friend?
I guess I'm doing all right. Couldn't get my phone to work.
Yeah, I hear you, baby. You are the man of the hour, brother. The man
I
of the
am.
hour. Joining us from his home in Memphis, Tennessee, superstar Bill Dundee. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing good.
Sir,
I got a couple
Staying
friends.
in like everybody said, not doing no wrestling business, Dad.
Got a couple of friends of yours with me. Say hi to Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hello, Bill. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right.
Very good.
This is our 1-year anniversary, Bill, and we're having some of our favorite people on tonight. We've got Jack Victory here. Jack was our very first guest on the podcast, and I thought to myself, I can't have a podcast without Jack, and I certainly can't have a podcast without the guy that keeps me, comfortable in stories and always has a treasure trove full of stories for Dan the Man and myself, and that's our buddy superstar Bill Dundee. We love you here. We love to have you back. I would have Bill Dundee on every week if his wife would let him.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Angelo.
How you doing? Everything good tonight?
Do what, mate?
I said, how you doing? Everything good tonight?
Everything good. Just watching Trump on TV and Biden
okay.
debating.
Okay, so you're really not watching nothing then. Okay, cool.
No, not watching. You said it right.
Angelo, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have a Bill Dundee story.
Oh, you got
Okay.
We got a gentleman here named Mike Armageddon Murphy. Michael Armageddon Murphy has a superstar Bill Dundee shirt. Go ahead, Mike. You got it.
First, let me say, Bill, it's an honor to speak to you. I remember watching you as I was growing up and breaking into the business, and I want to say thank you for everything you did in the business so guys like me would have a career.
Well, thank you, brother. It was all different back then, but what can you say? They don't make John Wayne movies no more either, do they?
Right, exactly.
On to my Bill Dundee story.
All right.
It was a bunch of years ago. I was homesick. I had the flu or some kind of bug, and I'm laying on the sofa, and I'm flipping through the TV to try and find something to watch. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen afternoon TV. There's not really a whole hell of a lot to watch.
No.
And I come across this show, the Jerry Springer Show.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And I look up.
Me and my son.
Yes, and I look up, and there's superstar Bill Dundee, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this.
Yeah.
And it was
That's crazy, that episode.
Oh, yes, it was.
Bill, people still talk to you about that shit.
Yeah.
Do they really? That is remarkable that people would even remember that. That would have been like a half a blip on the radar, and then I would have forgotten about it.
Yeah, but to them,
That's crazy.
they think it's different because they just see you on a wrestling show, then you're on the Springer Show. They don't associate it being the same. Jerry Springer Show.
I was going to say, one of the
Springer
things
Show
that
done the same way.
Well, I tell you what, Bill, you were great on that show.
Well, Jamie was
One of the things I
all right
love
too.
about having you here is that I also have Jack Victory here. Now, the last time I got you and Jack together, he surprised the hell out of you. Tonight, it's a little different because we actually have time to talk tonight. So I want my co-host Dan the Man Sebastiano
Yes,
to
sir.
kind of because he's the smartest guy in the room, so he tells me, and he's the historian, so he tells me. So Jack, tell me your knowledge of how superstar Bill Dundee and Jack Victory came to be. Young Squire, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Wait, was that addressed to me?
Yeah,
It sounded
that
like you
was
wanted Jack to
you.
tell that story.
All that big build up.
You're Jack Victory, ain't you?
Yeah, I thought he was queuing up his other friend.
Yeah, I hear you.
It sounded like he wanted me to talk, but then he said,
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Jack.
Well, look,
I'd love to
before
hear
this
your
gets started, guys, I got to bow out. 3 a.m. comes awful early. I just want to say, Angelo, God bless. Congratulations on 1 year anniversary.
Thanks, Mikey.
Hopefully, I'll see you in the future and many, many more shows. God bless
You'll
you.
see me Thursday night.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care, brother.
All right, my friend. Nice meeting you.
All right,
Nice
brother.
meeting
Take care.
All right.
Nice talking to you.
Terrific. All right. So it's Jack and Bill and I gotta hear a little bit more about just you giving him his name. So and when last time Jack was here, talked about how you gave him his name and everybody popped for that story. So Jack, how much did you actually work with Bill when you got to the Southern Territories?
I didn't work against Bill too often at all. When I first broke in with the business, Shawn Michaels actually broke in right around the same time as I did. And I think we were pretty much married for about the first 6 months of my business. We used to work 8 shows a week.
Right.
You know, we did double shots on the weekends. I mean, we that most of the time that car stayed idled in the parking lot. It didn't even shut off. You just run in and do your match, jump in the car, and go to your next town. We didn't fly anywhere. We drove everywhere. You know, Bill Watts would book shows where it was not even physical to drive it.
Yeah.
You'd have to go in. You couldn't even take a shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would. So it was the best territory to break into it though. If you didn't learn in that territory, you never had a wrestling career. That's for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Well, if we're talking, you know, obviously, Bill told us the story of how the name Jack Victory came about and how you guys worked together. I'm curious, if you don't mind me asking, the Jack Victory character, when you were with the Sheep Herders and you transitioned to the with the Hot Stuff stable with Eddie Gilbert.
Well, me and Johnny and Missy.
Yeah, Hollywood John
you were
Tatum.
managed by Missy Hyatt. I'm curious. I'd love to hear the story of how you guys came up with that transition from being from waving the New Zealand flag to being the pretty boy.
Well, it's all with bookers too. I mean, Bill Dundee was I think he left for a different territory, and Ken Mantell was the new booker, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
And, I think Ken Mantell came to me and said, I would love to put you with Johnny and Missy. I didn't know Johnny and Missy, and you know, from the first day that we met and we started wrestling together, I knew it was going to be something special. And you know, they it just went on from there. You know, territories, it depends on who's booking at the time and things like that. It's all about timing.
Well, then
Right.
since you've got him here, I'm curious from the fact that you worked under both of them, how poorly did the quality of booking go down after Bill left?
Well, Bill, I mean, everybody had a different, everybody has a different mind to the business. Bill coming from the Memphis territory, there would be a lot of different, a lot more different gimmick matches and stuff like that, which got over strong, got over huge. And then Bill, Ken Mantell had a different, more of a in your face rugged type thing. So I mean that's why the wrestling business always stay fresh, is everybody moving around, having different territories. You piss off one of the bookers, he fires you. You can go to Florida Championship Wrestling and start the next week. Unfortunately, all that's gone now. There's
No more options anymore.
Yeah.
There's not there. You don't have options, so you really have to. You have to kiss ass, and it's unfortunate that all these little territories went away.
Grimlina's got some questions. Go ahead, Grimmy.
I was going to tell you all a piece of trivia. I make it no bones. I think today's WWE is, or WWF, or whatever you want to call it, garbage. I grew up watching Jim Crockett, Mid-Atlantic, Mid-South, Georgia Championship.
God. Sure.
And I got told by somebody, I thought it would be kind of cool to learn a trick that I'm sure Mr. Dundee is probably familiar with, as one of his opponents or partners used to use. I wanted to use a fireball.
The fireball, Bill.
Yeah, well, that was, I don't know who came up with that. Lawler used to like to do it. I hated it when he did it, and I would never let him throw it at me. So anyway, that was just that. But that never was over with me. I know the Sheik did it, and he was the first to throw
it too. He did it a bunch in World Championship.
And Akbar did it. Yeah.
Yeah, Akbar did
but
it.
The Sheik.
Here's interesting, and I just thought about something. Grimmy talked about, the Crockett era, Mid-South, Southwest. Of course, we've had, Manny Fernandez on, and Johnny Mantell. Of course, we've had people from Georgia Championship Wrestling and Championship Wrestling from Florida, people like that. Here's the thing, though. Everybody credits the WWF/WWE with being the cutting edge promotion. It seems to me, Jack, and call me crazy, and I'm a lot older than, well, I'm not as old as Superstar, but I'm catching up real fast. But I'm probably older than everybody here, next to Bill. But it seems to me that the real cutting edge territories were all down south. They were doing, these crazy fireball matches. They were doing haircut matches. Barbed wire matches before, Jack Victory, quite frankly, is credited with being in one of the first, so-called barbed wire matches. Jack, you remember?
First televised one, yes.
Yeah, the first televised.
Me and the Sheep Herders against Terry Taylor and the Fantastics.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
If it came down to it, which would you rather do? Just a straight shoot technical wrestling match, or did you prefer gimmick matches? I think gimmick matches were fun to watch. But then again, I'm a
Well, that depends what the gimmick is.
I would
Yeah,
take a gimmick
good
match
point,
over,
Bill.
Yeah.
Good point.
No, I would rather just do a straight wrestling match, get paid, and go home. That's what I would rather do. But
Well,
when I came here,
Let me ask you something, Bill. We talked obviously when you did Angelo did your introduction. He mentioned the anniversary show, and we circled back a lot to our old friend Jeff the Ref. One of the things we used to talk about is he was, as Angelo would tell you, the encyclopedia. And one of the things we spoke fondly of was the magazine and the territory days, and get the wrestling magazine, get the books, all that. I'm curious why. Jack Victory's touched on it, and I want to expand on that because it's something Jeff and I talked a lot about, is the Memphis style. Why was that so sick? Anytime somebody would leave the Memphis area and go book, be it anywhere from Florida to Canada to Australia, Europe, the Memphis style always drew. Why is that? Do you think that Memphis style was just, no matter where you went, was just universally beloved by wrestling fans?
Because it was badass.
Yeah, I thought it was very exciting. I mean,
Absolutely.
that was the thing of that. And then in Memphis, Jerry Jennett looked after it. It looked like we was being crazy, but you wasn't allowed to go out there and just do whatever you wanted to do. If Jarrett didn't approve it, it wasn't done. And it looked wild and woolly, like we didn't know what we were doing, but we all knew what we was doing. It was drawing a lot of money every Monday night in Memphis. So
yeah.
The most original match I ever saw took place at the I'm thinking, and Bill, you would know, I'm thinking it was the Mid-South Coliseum. It was this famous concession stand brawl with Rain Ferris, Jerry Lawler. God, who else was involved in that? Jack, help me here.
That one.
Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, Wayne Ferris, and Larry Latham.
That Larry Latham. I was trying to remember. Larry, yes. So the four of you guys, who came up with the concept of this? Walk me through that concession stand brawl.
Okay. We fought to the back like we'd done 100 times before. And then me and Lawler was beating the hell out of the heels, Wayne Ferris and Larry. And they said, hell with this, and they're on the concession stand. Nobody had really done that before. So we and Lawler chased them, started fighting, and the rest we're at the concession stand, and it got over like $1 million. So that was kind of an accident. Nobody said, let's do it. Nobody said, hey, we'll end up in the concession stand. It was just one of them things.
It was completely organic. Is that what you're saying, Bill? It's just like on the fly?
Yeah.
No shit.
Because we wasn't supposed to go there. Nobody had never been full wrestlers in the concession stand ever in the history of Tupelo, before or after.
Jack,
so when we
why
ended
doesn't
up
that
in there,
happen anymore, man?
I don't know.
Well, let
See,
me ask
here's
you
the
guys.
thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Here's where I think we're professional wrestlers. Whatever television show you're watching, if you're a wrestler and you wrestle around where the TV is, you're apt to do what you see on TV.
Yeah.
So everybody in the South that lived around Memphis and Louisville and Evansville and Lexington, Kentucky, also saw Memphis wrestling. So that was what they thought Memphis wrestling was. And it was wild and it was exciting. But it wasn't goofy. It was just wild and exciting. And it drew a lot of money. So the concession stand, it just happened. We did it, got away with it. Nobody got hurt. And wasn't allowed to do it again. Eddie Marlin said, don't get on that concession stand every Friday night.
Jack, you still with me, babe?
I'm here. Yeah, I didn't go to bed yet.
Oh, okay. Jack, let me ask you a question. Aside from superstar Bill Dundee, who did you learn your greatest and most valuable lessons from?
Oh my God! I was a young little punk, and I started in one of the best territories in the world, and this ain't no shit. When I went out, probably first, second, third match, for probably my first year and a half of my of breaking in the business, and Flair would watch my matches. Ted DiBiase would watch my matches. Bill Dundee would watch my matches. These guys were so awesome to learn from. Every time I'd get back, 3 or 4 guys would come up and give you pointers. And that's how I just learned and grew. Every single wrestler didn't have a chip on his shoulder. They would always teach the young guys what they were doing right and what they were doing wrong. So
that's exactly.
Yeah, that's the secret too.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Bill. Follow up on that, Bill.
Yeah, that was the secret of it. It was orchestrated mayhem. It looked like it was crazy, but it wasn't.
I think Jesse
And it
Ventura
drew a lot of money.
Jesse Ventura said it best. Ballet with violence. But you got to understand.
Okay.
It's like I tell you.
Jesse also had a notoriously short career, by the way.
Well, I love me some Jesse, so okay. But
and I know Jesse, so I can say that.
It's like I try to tell.
And that's a shoot.
I'd like to tell these young guys and gals or people when I'm interviewed or when they ask me, my best advice is if you really want to do it and do it right and argue with me, prove me wrong. Some of the best textbook, we're not talking glitz, fireworks, blah, 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 but it kept you in your ass in that seat for an hour plus. Watch Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair during the Crockett days, the Clash of Champions.
Why? It was the same match over and over again. If you really want to learn how to wrestle, watch Wahoo McDaniel and Ric Flair.
That too.
Okay.
I will not take it away from Wahoo because, like I said,
watch Magnum TA. Watch Manny Fernandez. And anybody.
I'm going to quote my personal favorite icon when he looked at Chris Jericho. Old school is cool.
Well, we know that. Tell us something we don't know.
I'm sorry. I will carry the ref flag on that.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Danny.
Carry the flag for him on that one.
No, she's right. Jeff would be 100% on board with this conversation. I actually.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to go back, Bill. You were talking about the concession stand brawl. That's one of my favorite. I've mentioned it before, and we've talked when you've been on the show. I used to love renting the tapes when I was a kid, and then when the ESPN and some of the local channels started playing all the old Memphis and Georgia tapes. The one thing I used to notice a lot about the backstage brawls and the brawling outside the ring was it was always very quick. You'd fight to the back, you'd fight in the backstage area, maybe 2-3 minutes tops, and then it was either over or you were back in the ring. Nowadays, you watch a match that spills outside, and they'll fight in the concession area for 20 minutes, and it gets boring and it gets stale very quickly.
Right.
I'm curious.
That's exactly
if you have
what
any
it does.
opinion on why, at some point, they decided to just, less is more has always been a good thing with stuff like backstage fighting. Why do you think at some point that mentality went away, and we can have an hour of a pay-per-view or an hour of a wrestling show take place backstage?
Well, here's the thing that I think happened, and this is just me. When I started, the booker that looked after me when I started, I called all the shots, had been around for 10 years before he got the booker's job, and he knew exactly what he was going to do, and he wanted you to do just like I did when I booked too. You either do as I tell you or you go home. But it's my ass that's on the line if it goes wrong. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what to do today. I haven't been at a Memphis show in so long either. So I know what we did. It was real. It was real to me, and we were convincing the people that it was real to them, and it was obviously working because we would draw a hell of a house every Monday night.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill, we're going to hear more about that. You're coming back with me Thursday, right? We're bringing you back for another episode, right? We talked about that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, and we'll see you Thursday. So I'm going to let you go tonight, and so we'll say good night to Bill. Say good night to Jack. So we're going to let Jack go here in a couple seconds. Jack, say
All
good
right,
night,
Jack,
Bill,
take
and
care.
Thank you for calling in. All right, my friend. It's great talking to you again.
All right, brother. You be good.
All right, you too, sir.
All right.
Take care, Bill.
Care. No.
All right. Okay, we're back, guys.
Got
Back
rid
with
of the
Jack
superstar.
Victory, Dan the Man, and Grimlina.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're bringing Bill back on Thursday to replace Hacksaw Butch Reed. We will not be able to get Butch. Well, we can get him, but he's got certain conditions that are just ridiculous for a podcast. So we're not going to have Butch Reed. So there you go.
That's funny.
My first road trip was with Butch Reed, by the way.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, I so wanted to have him,
match,
Jack. I really.
My first match, they flew me to Houston, Texas, and I wrestled in Houston at the Sam Houston Coliseum. And then me and Hercules Hernandez and Butch Reed drove from Houston to Dallas. So that was my first road trip with Hercules Hernandez and Butch Reed.
Wow.
And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in that trip.
I'll bet your ass did too.
Holy mackerel, with crazy asses.
Damn. Grimmy, ask questions.
I'm just enjoying the stories.
I don't want you to enjoy the story. I want you to ask questions, damn it.
Look,
I bring her on my show and she gives me a hard time. Dan, ask
I
me
need
a
to fire
question.
her.
Sorry, if you want me to ask a question, let me ask you this, guys, and I'm not trying to stir crap or anything.
Sure you
Why
are.
is it that wrestling fans, and I'm just curious, I love them. I did it for them. I still do it for them. That's why I do cons. That's why I do these podcasts.
That's why we all do it.
I love the people.
Yeah.
How do you, without ruining your brand, put fans in check when they get a little over the line with their, how shall I say it, their zealousness?
Well,
Jack, what do you think about that? You've been around a long time. How do you deal with overzealous fans?
Well, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I hated Marks. I hate Marks to this day, to be honest with you. I always anybody that thought they were smart to the business, I just wanted to puke on.
I hear you. Jack, you brought up a really interesting word.
If you never stepped into a wrestling ring and got punched in the face or had a chair slammed over your head, you had no right to even to be on the same level as us.
Absolutely.
I was tossed in a trash can. Does that count?
What's that?
I was tossed in a trash can. Does that count?
No, that was part of an angle, though.
Yeah, that was part of an angle.
You mentioned an important word, though, Jack. The difference between a mark and a fan. I absolutely agree with you. I don't think there's any place in wrestling for the wrestling mark. I think wrestling could sure use a healthy dose of good fans, quite frankly. And I used to get angry, Jack, and I'll be honest with you. I used to get angry when I would hear the term smart mark, but then I realized it's kind of an oxymoron because if you're smart, you're not a mark, and if you're a mark, you're not
Right.
smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
There's
what's
one
the,
thing
There
that
you go.
there's one thing that was going in our favor with me breaking in the 80s, is that the marks thought wrestling was fake, but they still believed it was real.
and that's what Davey O'Hannon keeps driving home every time he comes on the show.
Yep.
Every time.
Every mark said, "Oh, wrestling's fake." But as soon as that bell rang and they were in the front row, that shit was real to them.
And Jack, they kept buying tickets, baby. They kept buying
absolutely,
tickets.
absolutely. That's one thing that was going for us, even into the 90s, even into the late 90s. I would say the marks were still, oh, wrestling's fake. But nowadays, I mean, it's thrown in their face that it's fake. It's a soap opera now. It's a storyline soap opera. Even though it was a storyline soap opera back then, but 90% of the marks believed in what we did, because it was so snug and it was we weren't afraid to make it look a little real. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I've said on the show many times that wrestling fans are simultaneously the best and worst people on the planet. That a good crowd can make some of the greatest moments on television, but a bad one or one bad fan can ruin everything. I talked earlier about how I used to love watching the Memphis tapes, and I remember. Right. I mean, every episode I would watch of the Memphis tapes, be it Jerry Lawler, Dutch Mantell, or heaven forbid somebody put their hands on Ricky Morton on some of the indie feds, there was always somebody jumping the barrier. And
yeah,
but it's funny because I look at that fan,
and her name was usually Grimlina.
Hey,
I look at that fan.
Get over the barrier. I'm not big enough. Thank you.
Well, what I mean is, I look at that fan, and then I look at what you call the marks and the fans today, and the quality of the mark plummeted with the introduction of, I hate to use the word, but fake wrestling. You have characters today whose entire gimmick is nothing I do is real. Be it intentionally goofy moves, be it unrealistic, dick powers, or wrestling with their hands in their pockets, or whatever they do, where it's openly what I'm doing isn't real. And when that started to be prevalent, the fans started to be more, the social media and this is bullshit and blah blah blah. I'm curious, was it the quality of the product that worsened the fan, or was it the fans worsening that deteriorated the product? Because at that point, you're marketing to the lowest denominator wrestling's ever seen.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to. What am I trying to say? You went out there to bust your ass to get a pop from the fans when I was in the business. Now it's really, really, really hard to get.
You know what the difference is? Jack, may I interject there for a second? Because I totally 1,000% agree with you and where you're coming from. Here's the problem as I see it. The guys aren't trying to get a pop anymore. They're not trying to pop the marks. They're not trying to pop the crowd. They're trying to pop the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boys are trying to pop the boys.
Well,
and you've got guys like Orange Cassidy.
High spots that normally would kill somebody, and you kick out of everything. It's really kind of hard to follow shit like that. You know what I mean?
Jack, that has been a recurring theme on this show, Dan, for how many? 3-4 shows in a row now.
Yeah. And that goes to what I was talking about, and Angelo had just mentioned him, someone like an Orange Cassidy, or, certain characters who I refuse to mention, that their gimmick is, look at what I'm doing, it's fake, but then you go out and you be funny, or I mentioned on the last show we were talking about realism, where you take a power bomb from the second rope through a flaming table and kick out at 2. That's not the finish. It breaks the immersion. When I watch a match where there's 7, 8 false finishes that involve finishers, it kills me. Versus Grammy mentioned earlier the Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, roll-ups, pins. There was false finishes in that match that still felt real. If I watch a match where you're kicking out of moves that I know, or you take a multiple chair shots and get thrown through a table and then kick out at 2, I know that what I'm watching is crap, and anything that follows that is also crap. Because if you can kick out, go ahead, Grammy. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you, because I'm going to go to what I know. I don't care who the hell you were. If Mount Fiji, may she rest in peace, picked your butt up and body slammed you to that ring, and you kicked out on a 2, you are faking it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how smooth it went. I don't care how it went. You're being picked up 6 feet in the air and you're being dropped. And you.
Well, I mean, if you're going to no sell a 6-foot drop from Mount Fiji,
you're a jerk anyway. But that's beside the point.
Well, I mean, you look at
actually, let me stop you there, because actually, Grimmy, that is precisely the point. Because here you are with a group of women that were trying their damnedest to make it look real. They succeeded on some level in getting themselves on television, and I'll grant you that. But where it fell grossly short was that they're the only ones who took it seriously among themselves. They couldn't convey that seriousness to anybody else watching because it looked like a comedy show. And it's sad for the girls of Glow that they are going to be an afterthought in wrestling history, because basically they are anyway. They did try. They did work hard. But what they did came across looking really, really weak and lame because of bad training, the wrong people. It was just the perfect storm at the right gimmick at the wrong time, or maybe the wrong gimmick at the right time. Who the hell knows? But
I agree with you. Like I said, and Jeff and I have had this discussion. You and I have had this discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell short what Glow accomplished. I will never do that.
Absolutely not. No, they certainly set they certainly set some record.
And
it could have been so much more, though.
Grounded.
You know what, Jack? You're absolutely right. It could have been so much more.
It could have been so much more with more serious storylines. They could be still a territory right now if it was more serious. And if the management would have took it a little bit serious and had a good booker, I think they still could have been. I think it could still be going right now as we speak.
Jack, actually, Grimmy and I have had that conversation on the show before. We've actually had that conversation because there were, and correct me if I'm wrong, Grimmy, but there were some really legit talented lady wrestlers who never got the opportunity, Jack, to shine like they would in a big Fed promotion like WCW or WWF.
Oh, heck yeah!
No,
he had some amazing.
They could have done everything that Vince did in the '90s with the girls. If they would have just took it a little bit more serious, they could have been that. They could have been that era. They could have been that girl era. Instead, Vince capitalized on the era. You know what I mean?
And like I've said, and Matt will tell you too, he was trying to get he wanted to put a couple of things he loved together. He loved Mad Magazine and he loved Hee Haw. David McLean was the wrestling purist. David McLean wanted it to be more wrestling, which is why season 3, my season comes along. Where's David McLean? Oh, wait, here's Powell over here. And we had to deal with learning. Those girls opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
We had the unenviable task of trying to keep that door open for 1 or 2 more seasons. Unfortunately, money got pulled. It happened. I agree with you. We had some phenomenally amazing, gifted athletes that had some
they really did. They had some talented girls. They really did.
That had some natural ability.
The only way that they would have made money is they had to take it on the road. They had to take it on the road. They just couldn't,
we did
do it as a TV show.
And Jack, that's something that Grimmy and I talked about as well with some of the other Glow girls, is that one of the things that Glow never ever did, they never toured. They never went
took it
on the road.
They should have.
Yes,
they should have took it on the road.
Yes, we did.
Where'd you go, Grammy?
I did a tour with the Glow Girls. We hit Clemson, South Carolina, Greenville, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, the same night the NWA was in town.
Go ahead.
Chattanooga, Tennessee, Albany and Macon, Georgia, Huntsville, Alabama, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans, Louisiana, Biloxi, Mississippi. They also, now I wasn't on this tour, they also did a tour up in
I got to stop you there. Stop. Think about what you're saying. What are you saying? All of these places, where are they?
It's down south.
Places down south that no one's ever heard of. They're nowhere near big television.
Charlotte.
They're nowhere near big television. There was no Northeast television there.
I'm going to actually disagree with you on this one, Angelo. Just being near television, I mean, that doesn't discount touring. There's indie feds that tour all over the world for crowds of 50 people. Just because you're not
off the TV and your TV feeds off the tour.
Yeah, but what I mean is you can have a show like NXT, for example, that's filmed in the same location.
That there are Glow girls there are Glow girls that will tell you they've never been on tour.
And they probably didn't.
People that worked with Grimmy who will say to you there was never a Glow tour.
And I don't know who told you that, but I will find a copy of the program from our tour with our tour dates.
I'm sure.
Well, you see,
we actually did a crowd of 7,000, I think it was, in New Orleans at the UNLV Lakefront Arena.
Good damn.
Well, what I was
lost
saying
my
is
teeth there.
You get like a show like NXT or AEW where they're filmed in the same location every week. They're not touring, but they have a television contract. You have feds like Glow that toured actively through a dozen different states, numerous cities.
And
just because each show wasn't on television doesn't mean it wasn't a tour.
There was some Glow girls that did a tour down in South America and in Japan.
You're hearing what?
First time ever hearing of it.
Oh, well, I'm saying is based on what she's saying.
Look it up. It's the facts.
The point I'm trying to make is real simple. We're finding out now. This information has been out there for a long time, apparently. Why are we just finding out now? Apparently, no one knows, is the point I'm trying to make. Unless you were on that tour, you don't know there was a tour. Point I'm trying to make. Jack, thank you, my friend, for being with us for this long. If I heard right, I think you said there's a pizza on your way, or.
All right, you guys and girls. You have a great night.
Jack, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, guys.
Take care. I'll touch base with you tomorrow, bro.
But also, you see, a lot of things went dead. That tour was very interesting. It wasn't per se like you would think a wrestling tour. We traveled on a bus to each venue. We
That's
had
pretty
a
standard.
bus, okay? We didn't go get in cars and go from city to city to city to city. We flew into Atlanta, Georgia, got on the tour bus, came up to South Carolina, and
Yeah.
started our tour. And then
And that's pretty standard stuff, Grimmy. You know, this,
And I don't know, and I'm
it's
not
not
gonna
my first
argue.
rodeo, is what I'm trying to tell you here. All
I know,
right.
I'm not going
Been
to
around
argue.
this business a long time, longer than you, a lot longer than you.
And see, that's what gets me. I have been asked about, well, why weren't you in Philadelphia when Glow came up? Because I had left the show by then. Maybe the girls that you talked to had left the show before the tour.
Well, and the Philadelphia show, I know about that because that Philadelphia show drew 1,100 people. That was it.
That ain't bad.
And a 7,000 seat building was horrible. The place was empty. 1,100 people in a 7,000 seat venue was awful. But I understand your passion, and I understand why you protect Glow, because it was what made you, and I get that. I appreciate that. And I'm not going to shit on Glow, and you've never heard me shit on Glow.
Oh,
but I have to point out.
You never have. I'm just saying that each of us, if you were to interview any Glow girl,
right,
we are all equally as passionate. We all may have gone on to do other things. Glow did not define us as who we are as women.
Right.
I think Glow helped give us a more depth as women. We got to learn more about ourselves as women. And I think that's the message that, despite everybody going, oh, well, Glow is this, that, we did try to empower women.
Well, and I want to stop you right there because that's a very good segue. One of the reasons you came on the show tonight, you may not even know it, we are doing I finally got enough Glow girls together that we can have a show without them killing each other. And it's going to be
we're sisters.
I got 4 Glow girls. I'll tell you who 2 of them are.
Okay.
2 of them. One is Grimlina. The other is Jeannie Besson.
Hollywood. All right. The original.
Hollywood. Absolutely.
Season 1 original. Through the end. All 4 seasons. Fabulous worker.
Yep. Absolutely. So, and she takes it serious.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about that. We're going to talk a lot about Glow. Because I have never, ever come across a more divisive issue in wrestling than the Glow girls. Because
we did our job.
You say, Dan, they simultaneously love and hate each other at the same time. The ones that still talk to each other, they greet with an open arm and a clenched fist.
I don't.
No, you carry a knife in your pocket.
No, I don't carry a knife in my pocket. I greet each of my sisters the way I would greet any old dear friend that I work with.
Absolutely.
That I love, and I will go on record, and I will, to my dying breath, I love all 70 of the girls, even though the ones I didn't work with, I love them because they paved the way for me. I love the ones I've worked with.
Right.
And we've suffered, not as bad as men's wrestling, but I think this is a testimony to how serious we took it. We, out of 70 girls, 4 seasons, we've lost Mel Fiji.
Yeah, you guys have had a rough year.
We lost Becky Mullen, Sally the Farmer's Daughter.
Yeah,
We lost Aunt Kitty.
yeah, sure.
We lost Jacqueline Stallone.
Yeah,
We lost
95 years old, by the way.
98.
98 years old. Okay, God bless her.
We lost Brunhilde. We lost Star.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember the first girl we lost. I think it was Salt. It may have been Salt. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that was right.
But none of them were by suicide, by drugs, or by anything.
Right.
But Sally passed just recently of cancer.
Yeah, there were, without going into all of them, there were a number who befell, illness and
It was
of
illness.
one sort or another. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the Glow Girls, as do, quite frankly, the world of men's wrestling this year took a beating. We
We
just
did.
lost, Animal Joe Laurinaitis, the latest.
Didn't we lose Rocky Johnson earlier this year?
Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were at Jeff the ref and I were actually on the air when Rocky passed away. In fact, I broke the news on the air.
I broke the news. Speaking of which, I think I told y'all this story. I may not have. And then I'm going to have to hop off because
Yeah, I gotta. I actually, Grimmy, I actually have to get you off there before the story because I'm actually up against a commercial break, which we have to do.
Okay. I love you guys.
Thank you, Grimmy.
Anytime, just pick up the phone. I
There you
finally
go.
got it to where I'm not making everybody seasick with moving my camera. And just, I'll leave you with this.
Yes.
I have a nickname, and you and I have talked about it, Angelo. My name is Geneva. I am Switzerland. I am neutral.
There you go.
There you go.
Have a great night,
I worry
Grimmy.
about my bookings.
Yeah.
I have to worry about this guy, this con promoter saying, hey, we hear she's easy to get along with. Why don't we have Grimly to have a table?
All right, I gotta let you go, Grimmy.
All
Have
right,
a good night.
Guys,
Thank you, dear.
happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's nice.
Thank
Pleasure having you.
you. Can never get Grimmy off the. You never get.
Man, somebody found your kryptonite.
Bless her heart. She wants to get everything out like she's the only one on the podcast. Oh my God. I go through this every time Grimmy's on the show. And I'm a glutton for punishment because I keep bringing her back. Anyway, Dan, so let's talk about this. This is our 1-year anniversary. It actually didn't go as I wanted it to, but I'm glad it went the way it did because this is the way Jeff and I used to talk. These are the kind of conversations we had. And this episode was as fitting a tribute as any that I could have planned out or scripted out. It worked out magnificently well.
Right.
And thank you, Ref, for guiding the hand, because I know you did. Anyway, so talk to me, brother. Let's have a word from our sponsor.
Yes, sir. Well, we were a year in and a year going strong, and something that you guys would never have thought about, or at least dreamed about when you started, is a sponsorship with such a big, prideful company. And we have one. And, Jeff, one of the things we loved about him was he was always good to take care of everybody, take care of his boys. And you can take care of your own boys, the 2 boys that are most important to any man. And you can do that with our friends at manscaped.com. Manscaped.com is the leading producer and supplier of man grooming products. Their Lawnmower 3.0 is the best trimmer out there. Use promo code WrestlingFuture for 20% off. They have a lot of bundles and package deals going on right now. Manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you.
And so will we. On behalf of Dan the Man Sebastiano On behalf of Mike Armageddon Murphy, Gremlina, Superstar Bill Dundee, Jack Victory, I'm Angelo DeCipio. This is year 1 under our belt. We start fresh Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
And our guest will be Superstar Bill Dundee for part 4, I think this might be. Am I right or am I wrong about that?
4
Dan?
or 5 at this point.
Is it really? Well, I'm going to tell you something. A straight shoot. I love Bill Dundee. I'll bring him on every week. The man has got
You
like
could have him on
50
every
years worth
episode.
of-
He'd never run out of stories.
Well, he's got 50 years worth of stories under his belt.
Exactly.
And I think we maybe got about, 2 or 3 months worth,
Right?
maybe. So he'll be back.
Yes, sir.
And so will we. Thank you, everybody. This has been a good episode. Year 1 is down, and we're beginning year 2. For Dan the Man, I'm Angelo. Take care. Happy wrestling, everybody. We'll see you next time. Good night.